if you kind of look at what's happening with Earth, you've got to get past this decision point of judgment.
Yep.
That's why I keep coming back to this, because if you're stuck in judgment, you cannot move to the next level.
You can't ascend.
That's the most important thing. And, even this idea of, you look at all these multidimensional beings and whether Arcturians or other, like the stuff that Tucker Carlson was talking about today.
Yeah.
Literally, the thing that ascends them is the love and non-judgment.
Yeah.
And so we're in a backdrop of absolute duality to see if we can figure out how to transcend it and get out of the noise of it.
Right.
It's like, one of the things that I do is I discover new geometric forms. I've discovered about 40 new geometric forms.
Wow.
And shapes. They're totally novel shapes.
Solids?
Solids, yes. One of them is called, there's a whole family called the Grand Tehedron. There's another one called Enchhedron. And the Grand Tehedron is like 16-sided. It's 8 regular pentagons that make like a crown going around. And then on top and on the bottom, it's slightly more pointy. It almost looks like a Christmas kind of ornament, but in geometric form. And where you've got each side of a pentagon is 1 unit. The long side of diamond-shaped pentagons, which are regular pentagons, at the top and on the bottom is 1.618. It's golden ratio. And it closes. So this is the Grand Tehedron. It represents the heart-brain awareness. So each geometric form also, as we get new geometric forms and perceive them, they're like QR codes for our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So the way that I discover these new shapes is I take a circle with 24 points on it and then connect all the dots of that circle at like a 24-hour clock. Okay. So each line is connected to every other point, right? Or each dot's connected to every other point around the circle, and it looks like a whole mess of lines. I mean, it's such a mess of lines. You're like, what the heck is this? And then you have to learn how to exclude the noise and focus on each of the new shapes that are inside that structure, because every possible shape that could ever exist is inside that matrix.
No way.
And so
24 dots in a circle.
24 dots in a circle, that's every shape in the universe possible.
Wow.
Right inside there.
2-dimensional?
It's 2 and 3-dimensional and 4-dimensional. All the hyperdimensional forms you can see in that same structure. Because the second dimension is just a shadow of the higher dimension. I could take a cube, if I took this and it was not, transparent in the center of it, and I shined the light through it and I cast it on the floor, it would make the shape of a hexagon.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it would make the shape of a hexagon, because all of the information in the flat 2D Euclidean hexagon necessary to make the 2-dimensional, turn into a 3-dimensional cube is also enough information to turn it into the tesseract that this is. This is actually a 4th-dimensional object.
Can I ask you something? Do you understand the densities model? I do. And so the relationship... It's really just the chakras.
It's really just the chakras. And the densities relate to kind of the vibrational states, right, of each of those. And so I would say the people that are very mathematically oriented tend to speak more in terms of dimension.
Right.
And the people that are, less... liking to talk about the mathematical aspect of it, we'll talk about the densities and the experiential aspect of it.
For sure.
But to me, they're still quite
feminine,
analogous.
masculine.
Yes, it's like a feminine, masculine way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And so what I'd love to understand is so when you say that we have to master, right? We have to get past the heart chakra, effectively. We have to get to beyond the 4th density, at least be at that level. I've always thought about the next level. So the 4th dimension is, so if you could imagine this in mathematics, you would have a line, right, is the first dimension. The second dimension would be like a line and then an intersection of that line, so an X and Y axis. Right. Then if I want to put depth to it, I have to have a z-axis. Right? And so the way we measure a line is a line segment length, right? The way we measure the XY axis together would be area. So you take the x-axis multiplied by the y-axis is going to give you the area, right? Then to measure the next dimension, which would be the z-axis, is volume, right? Then to
third dimension.
The third dimension. Then the 4th dimension, the next thing that happens is you've got, imagine, like a 3-dimensional object that is stationary.
Like a cube.
In the 3rd dimension, like a cube. But now I'm going to rotate and put that in motion The motion itself and the involution of it as well becomes the fourth dimension.
Amazing.
Right? And the fact that it involutes within itself, it goes in and out of itself, and also can go both directions.
Yeah.
That you are always at the center of your universe. You know, it's not a coincidence that the age of the universe is 13.7 billion years old. That's the fine structure 137.
Mm-hmm.
We're always at the center of our universe. The distance from Earth to the center of the galaxy is 25,920 light years. We're always at the center of our U-inverse. It's heliocentric, not because it's a reference to the sun, it's our own egocentric.
Mm-hmm.
In this matrix of mind, you will always be at the center of your U-inverse, no matter where you are.
So that's the question I was going to ask you is, do you think that is there a Platonic solid that expresses each one of the, let's say, chakras? We don't need to use densities necessarily.
Yes.
Is there a Platonic solid that expresses each one of those energy centers?
Yes, absolutely.
What are they?
So the tetrahedron, right, would be at the lower depth, but they actually go both directions. So you've got it going one direction this way and another direction going down this way. Mm-hmm. So the root chakra connects to the crown chakra as well, right? So you've got a tetrahedron anchored on both sides of that.
Okay.
Polarities can flip, right? So next after that is going to be, you just take it by the number of the sum of its angles. So it goes tetrahedron, which is 720 degrees. The next is an octahedron, which is 1440 degrees. The next is the cube, which is 2160. The next is going to be the icosahedron, which is 3600, which is also what we represent with water.
That's the heart.
The heart, right? The next is going to be the dodecahedron. And then the next is going to be an icosahedron. So now you've got the combination of the two. They're actually enveloped into each other.
Heart.
Yes, absolutely. And then you've also got the thymus, and this is where this Grand Tehedron thing comes in. It's like in between. So